Good evening, everyone. My name is Austin Crapo with Survivors. I'm here tonight with Josh Nehring, who's also a member of our Survivors board. Josh, as many of you know, he's kind of the brainchild of this new project that we're working on this year that we're all very excited about as an organization. And that is this moving in memory movement or project that we're working on as a group. Mostly at this point, Josh, but I have personally been doing my best to move with Josh each and every day, and I'm sure a lot of you that are following us are probably doing the same. And so, without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Josh. Obviously, we're going to kind of set this up almost in a Q&A format so that we can talk to Josh and kind of pick his brain about the movement, about why he got started in it, what kind of inspired the idea. I know that Josh is an avid runner. He runs way more than a normal human being should. I think he probably runs more in a week than I have in my lifetime. So obviously that's, for him, it's a happy place. It's a comfortable place that he likes to be in the outdoors and running, and what better way to move in memory of other people. So Josh, how did this whole thing get started? What kind of inspired this moving in memory project?
Well, I do want to just take a step back, if you don't mind. Lily passed away in August of 2017. I was signed up for my first full-length marathon. I was 39 years old at the time, and it was supposed to be about 6 weeks after Lily passed away, and I did not do it. I mean, nobody would blame me for or look down on me or whatever. So, but I did not do it. And truthfully, I probably wasn't that prepared for it anyway. I kind of just wasn't. And then as December and January rolled around of January of 2018, I just felt Lily really kind of just say, Dad, you need to do your marathon. You need to do that. Don't let it just go away. So I signed up for the Ogden, Utah Marathon, which was May 19th. 19 is one of my favorite numbers, and just didn't even really happen to dawn on me. But May 19th was the day that I ran my first marathon. And training for that, I put Lily on my mind and my heart a lot. And that opened up a new avenue for me for healing, because I've always been active, but that really is where it started for me personally, is just that time out on the trails or roads training. And I felt her encouragement, and I felt her kind of present and with me, and I dedicated those runs and training runs to thinking about her and our work with the Live Like Lily at that time. So that's kind of where all of that got started a little bit.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you see moving in memory being a part of Survivor's vision, or our, as an organization, our mission?
So when I ran that marathon in May of 2018, I had the most clear but crazy idea, as you referred to, come to my mind, is that I should run 50 marathons by the time I was 50. So I was 40 at the time. So I'm like, okay, I've got to run 5 of these a year for the next 10 years. And that didn't seem crazy to me. But I had no idea what that goal was really, but it was really committing me to movement. It was committing me to being out there, doing what I'd done for 4 months. And so 3 years down the road, we find ourselves, 2020, and a lot of crazy stuff going on. And I was out running, and this vision of kind of this idea came to my mind with Survivors. That SRVIVRS just kind of came to my brain. And so that's kind of how it got going with that. And then since we've established survivors, my mind is just continually wondering, where can my running fall into a place? And this last October, kind of in connection with what Stacy's parents have done a number of times, bikes or whatever in Canada to try and make awareness for the Live Like Lily and the survivors. It just kind of settled in my mind that this was a good idea to try and move in memory of others, but intentionally. And as I've done it, there's been this cool service opportunity, both just like our logo says, I've been able to try and serve other people by thinking about them and honoring them and living my life in kind of their honor. But I've been served by those who have passed on by their lives, by the stories, by the families, like individuals. So as I've thought about this kind of cohesive vision, I really, really wanted this year to be every day dedicated to moving in memory of somebody, as a way for survivors, one, to increase a little bit of its the awareness, the scope, have a little bit more broader audience, and let people know that this is an invitation. We want to include everybody. It's not just for people who have lost children like you and I. This is a way to remember anybody that we've lost, grandparents, parents, whatever. And I feel like that's kind of a big invitation for everybody to join with us in serving, and to intentionally serving in honor of those that have passed on.
I like that. So I guess in some ways you could kind of say that, you moving in memory of your daughter is really what inspired our survivors movement. So you've kind of touched on it a little bit. You're going to be moving in memory of other people. So tell us a little bit more about the specifics of this. I know there's a calendar involved each and every day. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit more about the specifics on that as far as the goal this year?
So I'm pretty typical. I'll have ideas and I'm totally naive of what it actually takes to accomplish these ideas. This one is no exception. So I had the idea of doing this moving in memory every day this next year. I think on my birthday, December 1st, I kind of made that public knowledge and invitation to everybody. So since December 1st, I think we've got about 150 people that have submitted names. And so that leaves us, those days we're going to be, let me step back. So I want to have somebody every day. On days that people have not sent us a day or a person to run in memory of or move in memory of, I'm just looking up on the internet and finding somebody and kind of prayerfully seeking, and then putting them on my mind. Those days are different. Those are kind of educational for me and hopefully anybody else that's following, to learn about people who have continued to influence us in our lives today. For example, Robert Baden-Powell yesterday. Today, I apologize, I don't have my phone right in front of me, but the gentleman that we're honoring today was one of the first to break the record for, interestingly enough, the marathon, 2 hours and 20 minutes. He was the first one to break it. He's kind of was noted for, in the Olympics, he came in, it took him 11 minutes to try and cross the finish line from only, a little ways out, because he was delirious and dehydrated and all that. So on those days, it's just a learning opportunity and a way for me to kind of realize that so many people in the past still affect our world, even though they're gone. On the days that we have where people have sent in a name, we are inviting families to give us guidance on what they would like us to do. I'm going to be moving in some way for sure, but families can join with us. If they want us to post videos, that would be awesome. We can have them send those to us. If they want us to invite our survivors community to do some type of service that they want us to do that day, we could invite them to do that. I've told people that if they like to eat blueberry pie, and if you want everybody to eat blueberry pie, we'll do a run on the markets and eat blueberry pie, that day. Really, it's an invitation for families to intentionally recognize that the day that they lost their loved one doesn't have to just be a miserable and hard day, because we all know that those are hard days. But I feel like as survivors, as a community, we can serve one another by joining one another on those hard days. And frankly, there's a hard day every day for somebody, Austin. And if I can spend my day, each day, trying to help somebody get through their hard day, then when my hard day comes, I'm confident that, one, I know I have people around me, but two, I'll be able to weather that storm just a little bit better because of the buoying nature that you experience when you join with others to try and help them through a bad day.
Absolutely. Elizabeth and I were having a conversation about something very similar today. One of my if you want to call it a New Year's resolution, or just my desire to improve this year, is to be a better husband. And I sat down with Elizabeth and I said, so often we think about, what am I not getting in the relationship that I have with my significant other and my spouse? And very, seldom, at least in my case, we look inward. And so I've kind of committed myself each and every day to just, what can I do to show you that I love you? What can I do to demonstrate that love to you today? And the funny thing, kind of to your point, is as I have been serving my wife more and more and trying to demonstrate how much I love her, obviously she's feeling that love, but then the way how much I love her, the volume with which I love her seems to be increasing. I find that I love her even more now that I'm serving her than I did before, if that was even possible. And I think to your point, as we serve our loved ones, especially those that have passed, we tend to have even more of an appreciation for them. I think we cherish them even more, and that's what really makes all of this very special.
You mentioned one thing. You mentioning that reminds me of what Elizabeth said when you guys stopped here. She said that she still wanted to make Mara happy. And I haven't thought about it that way in terms of wanting to still, like buy Lily gifts or do things for Lily that like I do for my children are present. And that her statement really stuck with me. And I think that is such a cool concept for us to think about with regards to our loved ones, for sure with those who are living, but particularly in regards to our loved ones, because we can't buy them presents. We can't give them, good food or whatever it is that, we know makes people happy here, but we definitely can serve, and we definitely can live in a way that we know, even if it's enjoying small little things like that. I know that on Thanksgiving, Stacy has a tradition of always making no-bake pumpkin pies, because that's one of the things Lily loved to do. So it's a way that I really like that idea of thinking about that or processing that in my mind is, what can I do today that would be a gift to make Lily happy? But that also translates into my other children's lives too. What can I do today to help create happiness for Stacy and the other children? So just a thought that came to me as a reminder of what Elizabeth taught me through that. It's a great thing to think about. And those are the kinds of things that I think about, and I encourage people, if you just go out and go for a walk in memory of you don't have to run. You don't have to, you can do whatever you want to do, just some type of movement, but that's the type of mindset that I try and go out and move in memory with, is thinking about that. What can I do today, or how can I make this person that I'm thinking about, how can I honor them in some way today?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first heard about, or the kind of the concept, I was Elizabeth and I were actually talking. I said, it kind of reminds me of the movie Forrest Gump, when he just up and starts running across the country, and people just are trying to figure out why he's running, and he just, he can't tell anybody. He just keeps running, And then all of a sudden people just start following him. You know, they want to run with him. They're inspired by, even though they don't know what he's running for, it just seems to be motivating people. And I kind of felt that way as I saw, and you, Josh, starting to go out and move. You know, I felt drawn to want to join you. And so I guess my next question is, if me or somebody else has somebody that we want to move in memory for, or a name that we want to give you to put on the calendar, how would we do that? And you know, what, again, I guess level of involvement could someone feel like they need to have, or I guess there's a lot of questions in this one question, but you know, can I, even if I don't have a name, can I just follow along and move in memory with you?
Absolutely. And Stacy and I are trying to make sure that each day people are aware, and we're going to, before the night ends tonight, we're going to put together this week's and try and, we want to send out, so people, because we had some people reach out last week and kind of wonder who is being moved in memory of, and we were a little behind the 8 ball in terms of, they went out and did some movement and they didn't have the person we were thinking on their mind, which is okay. But so I guess that to answer that question, one, absolutely, I would ideally, every person that hears about this, that would be my ideal, is that every day they start changing their life and they do some type of movement in honor of, or in light of the loved one that we're thinking about, or someone of their own. I'm dedicating, for simplicity, trying to dedicate a day to each person. Some people may want to dedicate a week to their loved one, or a year, or you know, whatever it might be, and I would love to leave that autonomy up to them. In terms of joining with us as survivors specifically, absolutely follow along with us. You'll see a post about who that individual is that we're thinking about, and then you use your own creativity if you want. If there are certain specific things that we're doing, we absolutely would invite you to go and do those things as well. The name submission, if you want to just submit a name, survivors.com, survivrs.com. You scroll to the bottom of our homepage, you can go in and there's a move in memory link that will take you and tell you a little bit about it and give you a little survey that you can fill out. And at the bottom of that survey, if you want us to do 10 jumping jacks that day for Uncle Bob, or if you want us to go to the park and clean up some garbage in memory of Sally, anything like that, we are open and we want to know what ideas and what visions you would like for us, and we want to try and accommodate those anytime we can.
Okay. Well, let's say somebody had a loved one that passed away that loved to swim. Could they, when they submit that name, could they make a recommendation for everyone to say, hey, you know, Grandpa Joe used to love to swim. Can we all, those that can, swim today in memory of him? If people want to make a recommendation on the movement, or I know you mentioned that everybody's kind of free to do their own thing, but you know, maybe some people might want to, you know, maybe that might be an awesome opportunity for people to feel loved by, you know, by a larger group, to say, hey, everybody's running for Grandpa Joe today, or swimming for Grandpa Joe, or you know, can they
Yes.
also submit suggestions on movement ideas, whether it be jumping jacks? Or,
yes.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes, for sure. And if let's say somebody submits, say, go swimming for Grandpa Joe, I'm going to try my best to go swimming. Please, you know, I don't mind any invitations or challenges, but I'm not going to probably be able to comply to all challenges that are Grandpa Joe swam 2 miles a day. That's not going to happen. Or if somebody says to do 100 burpees, I don't know that I can do 100 burpees in a row consecutively. But yeah, the idea is to personalize that day as much as we can to the individual, for sure.
Awesome. I personally, I love the idea. I know we've talked about this as a board, a survivors board. How I just see all the potential that this has. I think when other people see people doing something like running a marathon, something about people doing something that maybe I personally physically can't do, I find that inspiring because what, even if I personally can't run as much as you, Josh, knowing that you're doing that either in memory of somebody that I love and care about definitely inspires me to just want to be a better person, just to want to serve others in whatever capacity I can. And I think that's part of the goal of this is, you know, we're using movement, but in reality, that if you really look at the core of this, we just want people serving others and seeing good and doing good and sharing good. And this is just one avenue to do that.
Yep, exactly. So within the last few days, this year's going to be a blur in terms of dates, but I think it was on the, what's today, the 9th? I think it was on the 6th that Theodore Roosevelt passed away. And while I was running one of the events last year up in what they call the North Dakota Badlands on an old trading or Native American trail called the Madahe, there was a quote by President Roosevelt, and the quote is, "This is the essence. If we could get this one thing in all aspects of our life, but particularly when we're trying to accomplish things, this is so powerful." And he said, "Do what you can with what you have where you are." Because everybody's different. Everybody's different, and there's absolutely no value in comparing. There's always great value in being inspired to be your best self, for sure. But at the end of the day, we can only do what we can, and we can only do it with what we have, and we can't be anywhere else than where we're at. Like we just can't. I just love the way that he boiled that down. Do what you can with what you have where you are. And you should go to sleep every night. If that's your goal, you should go to sleep happy if you've done the very best you can with what you have where you're at. Because there's a phrase, I think I heard it recently, don't let God's problems become your problems. Like, there are things that you can control, but you can't control everything that God can control. And so boil it down to what he's given to you, where you're at with what things you have. And so I really like that. And so I only bring that up because people will often say, "Oh gosh, I could never do this," or whatever. And maybe that's true, but that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. We all have a place. We all have something we can give. And we all have the ability to do the best we can.
Absolutely. I love that. To that point, for me, the movement I've been doing, as you know, we have a small farm out here, and so I go out and work with my goats. I consider that moving in memory. I work out with my boys, and just finding ways, for me, because I'm not a runner, but I can get out and walk. I can get out and go jogging. I can work in the yard, and my brother and sister-in-law actually live up in Fargo, North Dakota, and it's like in negative 30s right now. So they're not getting outside at all. But to your point, where they're at right now doesn't necessarily allow them to be outside with the weather, but they're chasing kids around the house. So there's movement there in just being a mother. But yeah, I think I love that quote, by the way. And I think that's really kind of the essence of all of this. It's not necessarily that you are trying to inspire everybody to be cross country runners or marathon runners, but really just to do whatever it is that you can do to memorialize the people that you love and care about. And obviously, the movement part of it is doing it in a healthy way that benefits you physically and hopefully also benefits others. Well, Josh, I really love all of this. Like I said, you and I have talked. I know um, there's a thought that down the road we may even put together survivor races and things that could kind of be a break off of this movement. Do you see that happening? If you want to tell us kind of maybe some of the goals or long-term effects of this you want to see, and or do you see us doing this every year? Is this an ongoing thing?
So I've been doing this for 1 week now, and I can tell you that it has moved me deeply. I plan for the rest of my life to try and have somebody on my mind every day. I know that might not be realistic for everybody, but for me, I can tell already this has been transformative. Um, to one, just for my own learning, I learned about Louis Braille this last week. The inventor of the Braille, the writing system. I learned a little bit about Nikola Tesla. I learned about Robert Baden-Powell. I've learned about Edward Brooke. I've just learned about these individuals, Hank Williams, these people that, and they've changed my life in a little teeny way. So for me, maybe ask me in a year, but right now my brain is telling me that I want to make this a lifelong habit for me personally. With regards to survivors, the thought process this year of doing this is last Labor Day weekend, September 4th, it was kind of a cool, just a neat day. Our family and a number of friends did a triathlon here in the hills, the Southern Hills Triathlon. And Brendan Murphy, the guy that put it on, is just a phenomenal gentleman. And he had done some amazing things in response to his father dying. Ran across the state of South Dakota. I mean, he was on our survivors share back in October 3rd, I believe. Anyways, when we did that event, I realized that very day, 4 years ago to the day, I was burying my daughter Lily. And remembering the yuck of that day. And then here we are 4 years down the road, and we're gathered together. My mom and dad were in town. We had aunts and uncles. I mean, it was just, Stacy's mom and dad were in town. It was just an amazing weekend. And we had a bunch of, I think there was 13 of us that completed the event. And when I walked away from that event, I knew that everything, like I told you at the beginning, I've been moving in memory of Lily and others for 4 years almost now. Well, 3 years, I guess it will be. No, 4 years 4 years this May. And it's changed my life. And so I thought about, man, I would love to start a survivors race series where every event, whether it's a triathlon, whether it's a run or a walk or a bike, whatever, would almost be a brand, if you will, branded event where the niche for that branded event is that everybody that comes and participates in that event, every single person is doing it in honor of somebody. Sure, groups could do it in honor of an individual, that's totally fine, but every person that's in participating is doing it in honor or in memory of somebody. And I would even love to have every person that's volunteering, every part of it, that they all have a higher purpose in participating. So that's kind of where this survivors move in memory really took off in my mind. Is I would love to build a platform this year and use this year as a foundation, kind of like setting a stone in place to then legitimize, hey, look, this is powerful, this is meaningful, this is good. And as survivors grows and we have survivors in communities across the globe, as these survivor series develop, we could come to these communities and put on a survivor series, however that community wants it to look like. Our role is supportive. Our role would be there to honor those that they want to participate in. And then I would want to leave whatever some of the proceeds of that survivors event, I would want to leave in that community for that local survivors chapter to serve. So in whatever way those people need to serve, but to leave some of that money, to leave a tangible physical benefit from having a survivors event in their community back into that community to empower people to serve, and to also use survivors race series as a generator of ongoing future funds for survivors, our nonprofit organization. That's kind of my big vision and goal. I need a lot of help with that. I have the vision, but the logistics and details, they will need to be brought into place over time with some good help.
All right, I'm like, as you and I talked about this, like I said before, I'm very excited about that. I have a brother that likes to do Tough Mudders, and he gets involved in those kind of events, and I've toyed with the idea, but I definitely want to think about doing something like that in memory of my daughter. You know, I feel like with her behind me, there's really nothing I can't accomplish, including getting in shape for running a 5K or something. You know, because
Yeah.
it becomes, I think when you're doing something for somebody else, it's not about you anymore, and I think there's something beautiful about that, something very selfless about that. And the sacrifice that you make in preparation for those, and the sacrifices that you're willing to make to accomplish that, I think is a testament to your love for that person, and absolutely, you know, just a beautiful concept. I would assume too, if there are those listening or that hear this or can also get in touch with you through website if they want to help you organize something like that, if there's anybody that has any familiarity with how to do those kind of races. I know you and I have talked about that. There's the desire is there. Obviously, we want as many people that feel like they've got some know-how that can help us with those events. You know, anybody that wants to get involved, obviously, you know, we would love to have that. Well, Josh, you're one of the most amazing people I know. Very humble and good person. And you know, it seems like you and I have known each other a lifetime. I think people would be shocked to know it's been only a little over a year that we've been friends. But I think
We need to get you out more often, Austin. I'm the most amazing person you've met.
well, I've met a lot of amazing people. But you definitely, my life has been blessed through your friendship and the example that you set. You're a very selfless person, and I appreciate that. And anyway, I think I speak for a lot of people in saying I'm very inspired by what you're doing. I'm very inspired to the point where I'm getting out doing things. I like to look up, like I was also looking up Tesla. I'm a history teacher by trade, and I have a degree in history. But there's, you know, obviously tons of things I don't know when it comes to history. And so when I saw that, my first instinct was, I'm going to do more research on this guy. So you got me moving across the internet. But I love that. You inspire me. I know you're inspiring a lot of people with this movement. And so again, I thank you for that. And I'm really excited to see how this continues to play out. And I believe that a lot of people are going to continue to be inspired, just like the movie Forrest Gump, and you're going to have a lot of people running with you, whether actually or metaphorically speaking. But Josh, thanks for being here tonight. Is there anything else you want to share before we close?
Yeah, just the last thing, I'm kind of just been thinking about Hold on a second. Hey, Benson, do you mind going in and just helping for just a minute longer, please? We're finishing up here in just a second. Thanks, buddy. So one of the things that, you know, our communities and our societies, and especially associated with the passing of loved ones, is the mental health issues that we face. They are massive, massive. And I struggle myself with, you know, sanity at times. I have dark demons that want to raise their heads up at times. I've had a number of times in the past, and not all when I was a teenager. I mean, as an adult and since Lily's passed, where things don't feel bright and sunshiny, happy day, Mr. Rogers' beautiful day in the neighborhood kind of thing. And moving for me has been consistently so powerful for my mental health. It's just created a resilience and a toughness, especially when I'm doing things that are tough physically, when I push myself, and not to excessism, and it's not focusing, like, it's not for some egotistic whatever, it really isn't, and I know that we can get distracted that way. Probably the best thing I should say is I have a patient who came in, I'm a dentist, and she came in and she had struggled with bipolar and manic and schizophrenia and a number of things. And this is a 40-year-old woman with children and heavy into addictions, chemical addictions, smoking, and we got talking, and she recently in the last few years has started running, and she's like Forrest Gump. And by the way, that's probably several people have referred to Forrest Gump in the last few weeks, and me, so I'm gonna have to go and watch Forrest Gump and learn about him. I have to find out the day he passed away or something. Isn't that based on a true story?
No, but it's called a historical fiction. So he's a fictional character, but
Okay.
the whole movie he's part of actual events that take place. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So Forrest Gump's fictional. Dang it. Well, I'll
so you've never seen it. That may damage our friendship a little bit, Josh. It may. It's a good movie.
Yeah. So, well, so this gal tells me at the office after we're talking a little bit about running, and I told her that, you know, first time I ever ran a marathon was at age 40. I had run a couple half marathons, and I was certain when I ran those half marathons that I was, at the end, I was only 10 or 15 steps away from death, total instant death, at the end of those half marathons. But anyway, so this lady tells me, she says, running has been by far the most powerful medicine that I have had when dealing with my bipolar, my schizophrenia, my manic. And she says, when I'm running, my mind is totally clear. I can see clear. I feel clear. Everything, as she says, I feel alive, like I feel like a normal person. And so she runs a lot. She starts with a cigarette and ends with a cigarette. I think it's awesome. And but she said that running has been really powerfully healthy for her. And I, as a father, as a husband, as an employer, as a neighbor, the way that I can give my very best to these people that need me is to be on my best mental game. And running and biking and being active, those have in the last 4 years changed my life, and they've changed me as a person. They literally give me medicine in the head, and they help me be a better person in all aspects of my life. And that's one of the things that I hope that could have, that's a gift that I wish that I could help everybody be inspired a little bit more towards, finding some type of movement or something that you have an opportunity to challenge yourself a little bit, and an opportunity where you can kind of clear your head. I'm not really big into like training where I watch my heart rate or like watch a watch all the time, because that kind of puts the focus on me. But I love to just be able to be in an environment where, you know, I do steep hills or long runs or whatever, but for the purpose of kind of making it a little hard, because I feel like that really builds my mental resilience and my ability to deal with hard things. So that would be the only other aspect to this whole move in memory, is that I hope that I might be able to give some people a taste of some of that medicine that has been such a huge blessing to me in my life, to deal with. And even some of the demons that existed before Lily came along, Lily's passing happened, that's helped me manage those things better as well. So yeah, that's it. I could take somebody's whole night by talking about this, because it's, I'm super excited. I'm so grateful for you and Elizabeth and all the other survivors, Josh and Shannon, and Shannon Jensen and Mikkel, and all of our wonderful people who join us and listen to us and participate. Every little drop makes a difference, and I am so excited for this next year. It's really been amazing so far, 1 week into it.
Absolutely. Again, thank you, Josh, and time and talking to us about this moving in memory project. I know it's something that's near and dear to your heart, and like I said, something I'm very excited to continue to watch you do. I know you're inspiring me and you're inspiring others. So thanks again for doing this and taking the time to share with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Austin. Appreciate it.
Yep.